Hello and welcome. Today we're taking a look at the Laur walls and the Belgor walls and figuring out what's the difference between these two and why do I like one more than the other. Also, we're taking a look at the original Tala jungle bush and the brand new Laur jungle bush and figuring out what's going on between these two. Also, we're looking at the terrain itself. There's a very minor difference between these, the brand new terrain and the old terrain. So tune in for this Age of Annihilation terrain and, well, wall and bush comparison. So let's compare the Laur wall and the Belgor wall. Now, the Laur wall obviously is coming from the Age of Annihilation master set, and you only get 8 pillars, and you get 1 big wall, you get 4 mini walls, and 2 ruined walls. That's what you're getting in the master set. So I pulled out the Belgor walls that I have. Now I have a lot more Belgor walls, but I've only matched it. And so we're going to look at what we have here. So the differences between the Belgor wall and the Laur wall. We'll start with the walls first, then we'll go to the pillars. So big design differences. Same type of concept. You got 2 prongs at the end that hang on the pillars with little prongs on top, well, I shouldn't say little. The Laur wall is pretty, he's a thick boy. This wall's thick. It's also lacking quite the detail on the side here. And then I'll look on the bottom, a little hollow on the Laur wall. And the Belgor wall is a little thinner and is a little hollow, where this, like I said, this guy's, he's a thick boy. This is coming from the master set. This is coming from Raleigh's Creations. Very cool designs for both of these. I do love both of these designs. Laur walls from the master set, the original walls here, they do come with some kind of wash on them. Now, I could easily do that on these walls. I just chose not to. I think they look incredible on the battlefield without any wash, any paint on them. But I think in the future I might do that a little bit more once I get more confident with my painting skills. So we have the Laur wall here, the Belgor wall here. Like I said, once again, thick wall here. Much thinner on the Belgor wall, but similar design in its process. The Belgor wall definitely has a lot more detail, showing off a little bit of this brick concept, where the Laur wall is just blank. It's got nothing there. Also, please keep in mind of the thickness of the hangers on the side of each of the walls. The Laur walls being much thinner and the Belgor walls being much thicker. This will come in play later when we connect them to the pillars. And for the ruined walls, once again, very similar in concept, but very different in design. On the Belgor wall here, it looks more melted on the side. Now, it could be how these are 3D printed, and it could be very well. And they also have a little bit of a hole here, and once again, that's because of the 3D printing process. It looks very melted instead of like if something broke off of it, where you can kind of see where this is like the original wall, and then like someone smashed into it. You can see how that would have smashed into it. Where the Belgor wall, original wall, and the ruin wall feels more like it's some kind of laser or fire burnt into it. So in that sense, I think they're both very different, as if this was something was burnt to a crisp, and something was smashed into it, as if Krug bashed into it. Now, I want to bring this up because it is quite important and they are very different, is the difference between the bases. Now, these bases are square. These are the Laur walls are square, and the Belgor walls are circle. Now, you can see right now I've been using the Belgor walls quite a bit because there is a lot of roughness when I spin them around. You can see that there's a circle around here. There's a lot of roughness here. But there is quite amount of detail here so that if I did want to paint, it does kind of mix into like a road-like concept in design, where this is just completely blank. Now, nothing really different here. That's pretty much the same. These both fit perfectly on the board. Stay in place. So they're not going anywhere. That's perfectly fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But just that as a design concept, I did want to show off the difference between the Laur wall and the Belgor wall. So here are the Laur wall and the Belgor wall. Now, one of the biggest differences you'll notice is, once again, the bulkiness. There's a lot of weight to this. There is not a lot of weight to this. There's also a lot of hollowness, you can see. This is a thick brick, and you can feel it. There is a weight. And obviously, you're not going to see that in the video. You're not going to be able to feel this. This is not a 4D experience. So this is one thing I guess I could tell you for a fact, the difference in weight. But in design, once again, very similar in concept. It has spaces up top here so you can hang the walls. But in design, very similar, but also very different. Keep in similarities with the brickness, with the bricks here, still very elven in shape, or a lot more curves. This feels more part of. Well, I don't know if I should say that, because the original walls, before the predecessor of this, let's take those out for a second. Before I go any further, let me take out those. This is the original wall, and it has a brick design. Now, I feel like Raleigh was inspired by that and wanted to continue that design pattern with his Belgor walls, because, you know, with Laur in mind, I think that was this was a really nice touch to keep. Once again, here's the straight walls and the end pillars. Now, as an improvement from, this was the only line of sight blocker, also functional, climbing up these, dealing with the ladder rules, getting the extra height that only really flyers could get to. It'd take forever for anything else to climb up. Dealing with ladder rules was a pain in the butt. We all knew that. So, regardless of what I'm telling you today, which one you prefer here is a huge improvement for building competitive and even casual maps. So let's take a look at how they work functionally on the map. Looking at the Laur walls, they have this medium-sized wall that can hang in between two of these pillars. All right, boom, there we go. We love this. This is great. Let's move this up. Easier to see. There you go. There it is. There's the wall. Now, at glance, this is awesome. I love this. Looks great. But when you do play with it, when you do move things around, there's this issue. I don't like that. But as long as you're not bumping into it, you're fine. As long as you're not hitting into it, it's fine. Now, I only bring this up because the Belgor wall doesn't have that problem. If I take two of these walls, two of these pillars, plug in the wall. Okay. Doesn't have that problem. It stays. It fits perfectly in there. And that's because of the thickness of how thick this is right here for the hanger. It's a huge difference. That is a huge difference. And I feel like if played with incorrectly, now granted, I'm trying to put a lot of force on here. I don't want to break this. That's not the whole point. I don't want to break this, but if I'm putting enough force on it, it doesn't budge. So I think for the most part, you should be okay for these never to break, unless you like chuck them at the floor. But we're playing HeroScape. We're not chucking things around the building, around the house. But with this as well, this is 3D printed. I think I would like to believe that the reason that Raleigh made these much thicker is so that they wouldn't snap because they were printed in a certain way, or they're printed in general. That's another thing cool. Look how cool that is. I like the shape on top there. That's pretty cool. And with it being hollow like this, it makes it very lightweight, and there is a minor squishiness to this, but I don't think these will really break on you. I've been playing with these for quite a while, and I've never had anything snap or break. These are brand new. They shouldn't snap or break. I don't expect them to ever. But between these two different walls, they look great. They look awesome. Obviously, like I said, this one can swivel a bit for some reason, and this one does not. They look great. But can I tell you something? Can I show you something that one does and the other does not? You can't even try to do it, and yet it was not in concept was advertised to do, but it doesn't do. Stack. I can't take these. I mean, I guess I can. I guess if I really want to, I can. But I can't. So even if I take these off, take away the walls, and I was trying to make cover, because there is a huge dragon. There is a huge dragon in this game. And if by chance Xenothrax wants to look over this wall, they most likely can. So we have our little wall here, and we have our other little wall here, which, let me spin this a little bit. Yeah, it looks a little, you can easily see that a little bit better. All right. So, I can stack walls on top. And with them being hollow, they connect. This is solid. Now, I'll show you the concept art. The concept art might have come up already or will come up. It shows that they would stack. They wanted these walls to stack. I don't know what happened. I really wanted them to stack. I was excited for that. That was my favorite thing in the world. I can't stack. No stacking. What's the point of this? Now, could they easily come up with a second set of walls? So you have your base walls here that are for the ground, and then they come out with a second set of walls and pillars that are more hollow so you can put them on top. They easily could do that. Easily. I think they easily could do something where the pillar comes out with more of a empty side. Hey, they could even make it where you can climb on it. They could probably make different versions of the wall where they can put hexes and stuff on top. They could. Will they? Probably not. Definitely not. When I stack the wall, that actually locks in the wall that I hang in here because it covers it up. Here's my ruined wall. And I'm going to put this over top of here. That also stacks. How nice is that? How convenient is that? Now, I do expand on all of this in my full-on Belgor wall video, which you can go check out in full on my channel in a separate video. But I figured just to show off a little bit more demonstrations, I have a lot. I have tons of different walls. I got arches which don't come in the master set. So there's the medium-sized wall. Here's the large wall. How cool is that? Where's that? We don't have that for the Laur wall. So if I had, let's say, a second master set and I got one extra wall, I don't know why you get just one. I'm going to put this on top of here. Put this, slide that on top of there. There we go. Here, let me spin this for you. That's nice. Boom. Can't do that with that wall. Why not? I was actually more excited about getting these before I got these. And as soon as I saw Sir HeroScape play with these, and I went, wait a minute, hold on. Why can't I stack those? Why don't they function just as good as these do? And I went, oh, this is so much cooler. I love this. So when you're building your competitive maps, you're building casual maps. That works just fine. But I love that more. They fit in nice here. They're nice and stiff. They're not coming out. Like I said, they just pop right in. Nice and tight. Now, I think over time, they will become looser and looser the more you play with it, because that's what happened with the Belgor walls. When I first bought these and they came in the mail, they were way more stiff. So now that I've been playing with them more, and I've been playing with them a lot, I mean, I still have no problem doing that, but they come out really easy. They're not tight, see? But functionally, still works fine. So if we're looking at the marks in between the hexes, all right? Looking at the Belgor wall here, this fits right in between the hex. There is a little space that kind of lifts up because of the wall hanging on top of the base for the pillar. So there's a little lift up here, and it fits. When you get a top-down view, you can see both hexes on either side very significantly. If we happen to swap this out, bring in the Laur wall, you can see now, because of how thick the walls are, how thick these are on the bottom, these actually cover up just a little bit of each hex. Looking right above, it covers a little bit of each hex. And because this doesn't sit entirely flush on the pillar base, I think this is also why it rocks. It's not a huge thing. It's not a huge thing. It's very small, probably really insignificant, but I figured I'd point it out. But I do have original Tala bushes. We love these bushes, right guys? Ladies and gentlemen, we love these bushes. These bushes are great. But you know what these bushes don't do? Actually give you cover. How many times do you play with these bushes and you're like, this is practically useless? as something that will actually give you a line of sight blocker. Obviously, it's a thing, all right, and it will give you cover. It'll give you the extra defense bonus from ranged attacks. But then again, so do these. Technically, so do these. These are 3D printed bushes that I got from Etsy. These things will actually block line of sight. With this out of the way, hopefully in the future, and we'll get to this in a second if you don't know what I'm talking about. Functionally, these bushes are fantastic. I love these. This is my favorite thing out of all of Age of Annihilation's terrain. This is fantastic. This is what I've been waiting for almost all my HeroScape life, which is not long. I'm practically a 10-year-old, which is great because I'm a child at heart. Having these nice, hard brick walls to block line of sight is fantastic. And being able to still have the nice fluffy, not fluffy, but like fluttery floral or ferns on the side, awesome. This is fantastic. Side-by-side comparison. Those are great. That's fantastic. Move these around a little bit more. Just so you can see. No more little Lego bush. And we all know, come on now, if you're playing with Legos, you know what I'm talking about. That's a Lego bush. But I think because of the design of the ferns, it's just, I don't know, it just looks much prettier. I love the way that looks. And you can tell differently too, like different plants from a different side of Valhalla. Also, hold on, wait a minute. I just want to look at these ferns here. These here don't really have any detail on them. They're pretty blank. I'm just realizing how blank this is. But look how much detail we have here. This is really nice. Look how detailed. That looks like a real plant, real fern. Now looking over here at the bigger bushes, the bigger leaves, these look like giant lily pads, which are nice. I love these. But once again, also lacking a lot of detail. Feels like there's something ate out of here. Each of them have some kind of hole. And actually, like this is actually a cacti. They were like, we don't need this. We can replace it with actual hard cacti. That's a huge improvement. But yeah, so lacking some detail, but way better functionality. Way better functionality. Now, one thing I will bring up, we can discuss this now. I'm going to put down some terrain. And I'd like to remind you that when I put down this terrain here, let's see here. I'm going to put this down in here. That is the original Tala jungle tree. I did not have any issues. Will I have an issue putting this in? Now, from your point of view, you probably said, no, Joe, you don't have any issue. You're crazy. And I go, no, I'm sorry. I can't say that. I'm not crazy. I'm Joe crazy. But that's not the point that I'm going for here. What I'm going for is it does lift up. If I had to try to move this around as one piece, it's lifting that back piece up. All right? And it is shifting its spot. If I do this here, if you can, I mean, I felt it. I don't know, did you see that? It fits right back into place. It's fitting there. This, there's a huge difference here. You can see how flush over here it is. It is not flush here. It does pick up a bit. Renegade is already working on a fix. There was an issue with their warehouse where they made a slight change without telling Renegade. They're aware of it. They're on top of it. That's awesome. But I hate that we have to deal with this now. This is brand new product and there's already an issue. Maybe you'll see it right away. Maybe I have to point it out. But you can see on the left here, the Tala jungle, the lines for where they fit into the terrain, very thin, very straight-edged. The laurel jungle trees are a little bit thicker, and they're very smooth. All of the lines kind of round out around everything. That's the issue. Look how significant of a difference that is. That actually looks worse here than it feels on the map. But when you actually play with these trees and maneuver them around, you'll feel it. So please let me know in the comments if you're playing with the terrain and you feel the difference. Because from the camera, it may not look as different. I mean, unless you're looking on the bottom, that's different. You will see the difference. You'll see what I'm talking about. But from this point of view, I mean, I already built a competitive map, used the brand new laurel jungle trees, and they're fine. But I will know, I see the difference. I have a little bit of OCD, and I know I can see the difference. That these just poke out just a little bit. Last thing with terrain. I want you to take a really good look at the 24 hexes you've been watching this entire time. You notice anything? You noticing anything in particular with these hexes? Now let me cover them up a little bit. Notice any different? How about now? Would you happen to notice that these hexes, each individual space, does not have a straight edge? Let's zoom in a little bit more. You can kind of see it. It does not have a straight edge. Each piece looks a little broken. A lot of jagged edges here. Still a hex, but a little bit jagged. Now let me remove this. Ha-ha! Do you see it? That's a straight line. That is a straight line. Now, what I've been told from various sources is that when Renegade, or even Avalon Hill maybe at the time, reprinted these 24 hexes, they didn't have molds for the 24 hex. They had molds for the 7s, for the 3s, the 2s, and the 1s. But they did not have a mold for the 24. So they had to redesign the 24 with all the little jagged edges and more scrapes, and like the actual hexes feel like more like just piles of grass. It feels more embedded into the map I'm building. When I can see, and this is me, of course, just explaining it my point of view, when I just see the straight edge hexes, I think, oh, this is a board game. It doesn't feel like the rock or the grass is etched into the world that I'm building. It feels more like a board game than it does here. Maybe I'm just crazy for thinking of this way, but as you all know, I am not crazy. I'm Joe Crazy. Thanks for watching.